Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. With episode 872 of your favorite professional wrestling podcast. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, and we are still on the road to WrestleMania 42, but it is Thursday, so you somewhat know what that means for this episode. We will not only be discussing everything that happened in the world of AEW this week, we will be catching up with none other than vintage Chris Vanini, who is back at home from vacation and has a ton to say about the last week in the world of WWE. On the way into this program, allow Silver King a moment to remind you what we have already published this week and what is still to come. Our full WWE episode, an hour and 50 minutes of the Silver King unfiltered. That performance-enhancing audio hit your ear holes on Tuesday. Make sure you listen to that. On Wednesday, we gave you a complete NXT Stand and Deliver Ultimate Preview while also welcoming former NXT champion Ricky Saints to the show for the first time. Here, of course, we're talking WWE and AEW. And then on Saturday, as soon as the show goes off the air, we will have an NXT Stand and Deliver instant analysis podcast. 4 shows, 1 week, all of it performance-enhancing audio. That's how we do it right here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Let me also remind you, here on this show,
it's all about Defy.
So head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, leave a 5-star rating on Apple, take a little extra time, leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show, many of which we will be reading here today. Over on YouTube, when you subscribe there, you can listen to the podcast. You can also watch full-length video interviews. And earlier Thursday, we posted that full interview with Ricky Saints. So wherever you want to follow us on social media, make sure you're doing it at Getting Overcast. Vintage, welcome back to the program. Left us all in the lurch on Tuesday with a ton to talk about in the world of WWE. Frankly, if there was a week you were going to miss Tuesday, though, I got to be honest, I'm glad it was this one because, like I said, I went an hour 50 myself, which is not what normally happens. When you're not on the show, the Tuesday WWE show is like an hour 20. Silver King had a lot to say. I'm sure you heard it. I know you have plenty to say as well. First, how was the vacation and how do you feel being back?
Yeah, well, first, I pulled up the episode to listen to when it came out. I was like, 150? Did he have somebody else on the show as well? Because, yeah, it was a lot to get into. Vacation was good. The Slack members saw I posted in there. I did the Obafemi dance entrance TikTok that I often talk about on the show. I posted that in Slack there on my TikTok. It was good.
I missed that. Relaxing.
A lot of time on the beach. Went and saw an old retired battleship.
Nice.
Rested and ready to go.
There's a lot of cool. If anyone ever gets to Jacksonville, Florida, they have a naval base over there. Similarly, they have like it's called beached, I guess, beached battleships and old helicopters, and so I'm sure there's plenty of bases like that across the country. But it is pretty cool to see that kind of stuff.
Extremely tight quarters and all that stuff, and this is why we celebrate the older generations who had to live through that kind of stuff. But it was good.
All right, well, that is great to hear. Better to get that vacation out of the way. Silver King has been just going nonstop. I did the Tampa trip for the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. It feels like I'm heading back out on the road immediately. I've had nearly 2 whole weeks at home, but I'm back out on Sunday, going to Augusta National, all the way from South Florida to North Georgia for the Masters. No complaints, but long ride and a big time trip, and I'm gone for 8 days, so it's a lot of stuff happening at the same time. So we will be on the road. The show will be on the road next week. I'm bringing the real equipment, so we shouldn't have any issues from that respect in terms of timing and episode scheduling. I will be posting regular updates in our Slack. Again, if you want to join, the link is in our link tree, which you can find on our social media profiles at Getting Overcast. It's an invite link. All you have to do is click, join up. Tons of people talking about wrestling, talking about the show, some off-topic items as well. There's a Hey Now channel. All of that available on our Slack. Make sure you sign up if you have not already. The community grows by the week, and it is great to see so many people in there talking about, like I said, wrestling. but also talking about the show as well, asking us questions. Vintage and Silver King are both in there responding regularly. So don't forget to sign up there. Chris, let's not waste any further time. I have a bunch of notes, things that you want to talk about, clarifications I want to make coming out of the WWE show on Tuesday. And of course, the last 2 episodes of SmackDown and Raw. So these are not in any order. I'm not, stacking them based on importance like I normally do on the WWE episode. We're just going to go one by one and we'll pontificate as we can going through this. So first, I know you felt strongly about something I felt strongly about from Friday Night SmackDown. Jelly Roll being on the show 5 different times and somewhat heavily involved in this main event angle 1 year after Travis Scott was involved in a main event angle for WrestleMania. What were your thoughts from watching SmackDown on Friday regarding this guy?
I'm of two minds because it's a lot for a celebrity to be so involved with so many things, but he's doing a really good job.
I know.
Like, this isn't like Travis Scott, who would just show up and stand there and not do anything and whatever. Like,
and
Jelly
punch
Roll
someone
is
in the face and give him a black eye. Yeah.
He's wrestling. He's good on the mic. And the response has been pretty good. And I think, when he comes away with, a Grammy Award for Best Contemporary Country Album, I understand WWE leaning into it even more. And I know we've talked about, his place in country music and whatever. It's not our field. People have different opinions on him, but he is a very big celebrity who really likes doing this. And this is coming out of, Pat McAfee joining WWE, Bad Bunny doing it, Logan Paul doing it. And these are people who like pro wrestling and like doing it and are pretty good at it. So it was too much on SmackDown, but I'm not dreading when he shows up on my screen. He's advancing things.
When he's on the screen for something with Kit Wilson or The Miz, I have no issue with it. I don't like the guy. I don't like his music. I don't like what he stands for. I don't have a problem with it. When you're involving him in a main event angle where he's the one who knows Cody Rhodes is coming to the arena, he's the one who's spoken with the WWE champion when his manager hasn't. He's the one trying to get between them in the middle of the ring like he's their best friend and they've known him for years. Randy Orton knows him briefly from tagging with him at SummerSlam. And I guess Cody he knows from being backstage in WWE, right? And maybe seeing him in some Hollywood things, possibly. That is quite different than I Show Speed on Monday night, who, by the way, is young, who's athletic and able to do these things. And I'm not shitting on Jelly Roll size or anything. Trust me, I'm not going to, throw stones like that. But, you compared him to those guys. Bad Bunny was an awesome wrestler. Logan Paul is a pretty damn good wrestler. He's a great athlete. I Show Speed, we know the guy can move around. That's part of his gimmick. This is a guy who's lumbering around on screen. He's doing well when he's in the ring with, The Miz and what's it called? Kit Wilson and the prior feud with Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul with Randy. He was fine there. That is quite different from him being involved in the night one main event of WrestleMania.
Yes, but I will say, only to that point, I do want to credit them for some continuity because he was close with Randy over the summer. Like we said, they are addressing that relationship that they had. Is it too much? Yes. Do I want to see him involved in this anymore? No. But for a spot here or there, I can see it. Other thing, has Jelly Roll already locked up a spot in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Oh yeah, definitely.
In the celebrity ring, it's 100%. Done. We think about the guys that are going in.
Bad Bunny has also, by the way. He's had 2 great matches. Yeah. One of them main eventing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we're watching a Hall of Fame career unfold.
Something else that bothered me, which I believe bothered you as well, Sami Zayn winning United States Championship, but more than that, being forced into another WrestleMania spot that I don't want to use the phrase doesn't deserve because he's a great wrestler and he's a great performer. But creatively, in kayfabe, the storytelling, he doesn't deserve. That is basically taking away from someone else, it feels like.
Yeah, I agree with you that it feels like 2 times in 3 years, he's been forced into a spot with a belt that should have gone to somebody else younger who people were behind. And even more than that, I know you were obviously furious about what this means for Carmelo Hayes. I don't even think this helps Sammy. Like, what is the end goal here? I thought we were on the end goal of he's going to win a world championship because people don't believe in him and he keeps losing. Well, now he's got a title.
Well,
he's going into Mania.
Turn. The goal is a heel turn, whether it's a double turn with Trick or whether it's him being, the in-between champion, a transitional champion to get the title from Mello to Trick without Mello having to lose. That's the goal. I mean, that's what they're doing. But it's ridiculous, and it's completely unfair to this guy in Mello, who has carried this brand for the last 3 months, put on great matches, and been a great champion. And then 3 weeks before WrestleMania, you're like, hey, F you, man. We're giving it to Sami Zayn, just like they did to Chad Gable a couple years ago.
If you're gonna turn him heel, don't make it a mid-card heel turn. If he's gonna turn heel because he has to turn heel to win the WWE Championship, then he should turn heel on the champion.
Well, no, they want him to win. No, they want him to win the title as a babyface. So he turns heel now. He is a heel for 6 to 9 months. Then he turns face and he wins the title. That's the goal,
I guess. But then, are we going back to people think Sammy can't do it, even though he was a champion at WrestleMania the year prior? It's just
they probably have to go redemption story instead. They can't go underdog. With that.
I guess, because it just feels like that was the story they were hitting us over the head with every week. He's talking to Cody and Randy and all this stuff, and all of a sudden he's somewhere else, and it just feels very up and down. Like they don't know what and when they want to do it with Sami Zayn, and so we got to get Trick Williams in something, which they made very abundantly clear on SmackDown, and so we're gonna do this.
How'd you feel about that?
It was bizarre.
Right.
For the reasons you said, like if anybody should be told they're going to be on the show, Carmella would make more sense. He's a champion. The idea that like anybody is like, we just, WrestleMania 38, a whole storyline there was that Seth Rollins didn't have an opponent on the show.
They did it with John Cena. John Cena doesn't have a path to WrestleMania. So you can't put him in a match and then figure out the opponent on the back end, but you can for Trick Williams.
But yes, because that is the door you have now opened. It was very strange.
They basically never need storytelling if they just have a big star. Like they could have just said, Seth, you're going to have a match on this WrestleMania. We'll figure it out. And then Gunther comes out and attacks him. Oh, okay, it's Gunther. You know what I mean? Like that's the laziest thing that you can possibly do. It was even made worse because of what happened on the show naturally got him into a match. You know what I mean? Like
yes, exactly. It wasn't necessary.
They didn't need to do it. That's why it was so frustrating to me.
It felt like them trying to tell us, like, guys, we love Trick Williams. We're gonna make him a star. We know you guys are cheering for him, so we're just gonna say this ahead of time and then do this. Like, just it's a little heavy-handed.
So dumb.
Shane O'Mac at Shane O'Mac 713 wrote in ironically that it's funny to see Stephanie McMahon out there staring down the WWE champion like it was 2014 Monday Night on Raw. Indeed, that was ironic. Gunther attacking Seth Rollins Monday night. Chris, your thoughts on that match being made? Obviously, Rey Mysterio not cleared for WrestleMania. Braun Breaker coming back off the sports hernia. Didn't want to risk it. Wanted to pivot anyway and create this match, which I got to tell you, legitimate dream match. Has a chance to be the best wrestling bout on both nights of WrestleMania. Pretty huge, but done in a way that it's somewhat out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think it's making the best out of a bad situation. Both guys lost their opponents, the stories they were in. It's never a bad solution to just be like, let's just put the two great wrestlers together and have them wrestle. Because we're in a wrestling ring. Let's just freaking wrestle.
We're wrestlers in a wrestling ring. Let's just freaking wrestle.
Been a while since we heard that one. It just popped into my head as I was talking. Yeah. So,
it's a good one.
I look, you never know if you're going to be able to do this again. Like, both of them are older. Seth has had some injuries. Like, sometimes just do it. Just do an actual dream match, because you never know if you're going to have a real chance to do it again or if it's going to make sense anywhere. So I came out of it like, all right, like I'm looking forward to that. You don't need to tell me a story for Gunther Rollins. We know what happened. It's okay. I also agree with you, as we've said many times on the show, that we do not like the sleeper hold. It's so anticlimactic. Mm-hmm. It's anti-impactful. It goes against everything we would kind of want from a monster, so to speak. So was annoyed to see that, but good adjustment by Gunther with the blood and kind of handling that the way he did in a spot there. So looking forward to it. can we please just stop with the sleeper?
I do want to give a shout out to longtime listener Aaron B, who wrote in about Gunther's sleeper hold. Like, I'm literally scrolling back now to find out when he said it. He initially wrote in about it in early February. I gave the take yesterday, and I felt that way for a long time, but I forgot that I promised him I would read his question on the air about it, and I didn't. So here, shout out AB. You know, you're right on the same page as Vintage and the Silver King regarding that. Also, you know, about Gunther too, and I said this on Tuesday's show, we dislike on this program, no matter the brand, when matches are made for no reason whatsoever and just thrown on a show. And it really happens with the other company a lot more than it does WWE. I mean, like 99% of the time it happens with the other company, 1% with WWE. If there's any exception to the rule, and this goes for both brands, it is when you have 3 different people get injured on the road to your biggest event of the year. And at some point you need to say, you know what? We have 2 stars who don't have matches. Let's put them together.
100%. Yeah. This one's understandable. And like we said, they're both older. You never know if it's going to quite be able to happen again. Sometimes you got to do it.
As we and others projected, the Usos did lose the World Tag Team Championships to the Vision. But Chris, I don't even really want to talk to you about the title change because we knew that was going to happen. They're going to do the 6-man instead of the 1-on-1 with Jay and LA that we figured that could definitely come back on the back end, probably at a Backlash or something like that. What I want to ask you about is the Usos' new theme. What did you think about that?
Didn't love it. And I'm kind of shocked that they went with it. They just completely took away the beat that people like, the thing that they can yeet to. And actually, right before we started recording, I was on TikTok and I found someone who merged together Jay's theme with Jimmy's theme with like the piano in there. It was like, this is actually good. Like, this should be the theme. I'm very surprised that they moved away to something that is just, when they had a song that was so incredibly over. Like, the Jey Uso song is crazy.
Yeah, but
over.
again, day one-ish.
We know that it should be day one-ish.
It uses the same cadence. You can still yeet to day one-ish, is what I'm trying to say. Like,
yes, it just like adjust it to like, it's just us Us day one-ish.
You can do that too.
You can just slight tweak. So I'm just really surprised. I'm really surprised that they went away, gave him a new theme. It would tell me any sort of breakup that I predicted is not going to happen anytime soon. So didn't love it, but more than anything, just surprised that they changed it.
Also, not a great track. Like, the worst of all of them, which is unbelievable. You sent me a note. You thought the Madison Square Garden crowd was strange on a Monday night. I didn't pick that up, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing I felt about a Philly crowd a while back, which was like they get loud for the big stuff and then get very, very quiet for everything else. It was noticeably quiet. I don't know if that was just a microphone levels issue or what, but there were several times on that show I was like, wow, it is like actually really quiet. In other parts when they weren't. Maybe it was just the way the crowd was, maybe it was the mic, but I was surprised to not hear that. I'm not the one who talks about the crowd normally. You are. And I was surprised how up and down the crowd seemed to be.
So I didn't notice the crowd up and down like for the men so much. The women's matches across SmackDown and Raw were really muted in terms of fan response over the last week. And I'm fully of the belief that it is pure booking as the issue. They have not done enough to keep Bayley and Lyra Valkyria regularly on screen to get them big babyface pops. They've taken out the huge babyface duo, obviously, of Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. And for a while, it wasn't really affecting Io. On Monday night, I noticed she was not getting cheered like she had been previously. Even like a week ago, I think she ran down to make a save on Raw, and like they went crazy for her. And Madison Square Garden just wasn't. I'm not saying they didn't get loud or make any noise. They did. But it just wasn't the craziness that Io normally generates. So I noticed it with the women's matches. I also noticed it in the Penta match. But that was it. Everything else I thought was pretty loud and raucous. I mean, especially like the tag team match they were up for. They were quiet for the finish, but I mean, the heels won in convoluted circumstances. That's normally what's going to happen. They're not going to go crazy when something like that happens. They were heavily booing Dominic Mysterio when he came out during a commercial break, and they were loud, obviously, for the main event, and multiple other segments, they were super loud for Cody Rhodes and Stephanie McMahon. On that note, because I mentioned her on the show, but I didn't give you a chance, what did you think of seeing Stephanie McMahon out there randomly?
I didn't know what the purpose of it was, and I didn't know what the purpose of it coming out of it was. It felt like, hey, she's going into the Hall of Fame. Maybe we should have her on TV just to kind of, I don't know, make her feel important again. Also, by the way, Cody Rhodes, SmackDown superstar, showing up on Raw.
Yeah, unexplained too. Like, no reason.
Had to point it out.
Yeah, no, you're right. And this is an example of you being right. It was unexplained. It happened for no reason. They didn't develop the storyline. There wasn't someone there he needed to speak to. He was just out. What do you want to talk about? And then Stephanie McMahon's music hits, and it's like, oh, okay. What were you planning to do, Cody? Like, why were you there?
The other thing, I don't know the rules on all this, but have to give a hey now to Stephanie McMahon.
So, I mean, I considered that. I didn't give her a hey now on Tuesday. I gave her,
I was up all night.
which I think is a age-appropriate drop for her, and she looked incredible. I mean, you know.
Well, it also happened before some of the stuff later on in the show.
Well, look, decisions had to be made. I can't be dropping hey now 7 times on one. I mean, I can. We have the ability to do it, but we need to be discerning somewhat here on the show. And yeah, Stephanie looked incredible. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. We all know that.
There are a few opportunities sometimes for someone like Stephanie, who's not on TV very often, or even an older woman, want to make sure
without making it official. Would you have put her over Liv?
I would not have,
okay,
but she was a deserving number one contender.
She deserved a title opportunity, I guess. That's completely fair to say. Alternate angle of the Io Sky Tope Suicida botch was really scary. I did not see this before we taped Tuesday's show, which is why I did not mention it. She landed on her neck and collarbone and straight up was lucky not to have been seriously injured. It's the same issue as always with the Tope Suicida. Someone's knee or foot or something gets caught and they fall forward earlier than they should. Doesn't happen with Io because she's hit that move hundreds of times and come away unscathed, but all it takes is one. She's super lucky. It bothered me that there was not a more substantial medical check. I imagine it's because she literally hopped right back up, got in Kyrie's face, and everything continued. She showed no signs of anything. But I would have liked to have seen someone come over there and check her because holy crap, that looked bad.
Agree.
Asuka, by the way, posted a social media video after the show showing her holding Kairi Sane down by her hair, berating her, making her admit that she screwed up around that match, saying it was her fault, and then Asuka called her an idiot. She also told Io not to bother with Kairi because she belongs to Asuka. So again, pessimism reigned on Friday, optimism coming out on Monday. As crazy as this WrestleMania build has been, we may well wind up with Io Asuka dream match on that show. And if that indeed happens, well, the Silver King's only going to have one reaction to that.
Ah! Yes! I love that!
Super Steve DV wrote in saying that Carmelo Hayes losing the United States Championship due to Trick Williams' interference is the perfect entree to Melo versus Trick if they play it right. And while I agree that is certainly a plausible feud coming out of WrestleMania, there is no way WWE is, let's say, going to strap up Trick only to have him lose it back to Melo. Plus, despite Hayes being over, I think we all know Williams is way more popular. So then what you've done is you've taken a guy in Melo who you have successfully gotten over. You've had him drop the title 3 weeks before WrestleMania and then put his greatest friend / rival over him after WrestleMania. Then what's left of Melo? Because he's not going to get cheered against Trick and he's the babyface. The reality is this. If this match remains one-on-one, Sammy against Trick, and Trick wins the US title as we all expect at WrestleMania, Melo needs to move over to Monday Night Raw. It is not sustainable for him to remain on SmackDown after that booking, as far as I'm concerned.
I think my biggest concern with Melo is that, like, it took a lot of work to get him back up here. Because remember, he came up, he was a high draft pick, and then they kind of didn't do anything with him for a very, very long time. And it took a lot of good wrestling matches with Dragunov and various other people for him to get over in the ring. And I don't know if he's gotten over yet really as a character.
Oh, he gets cheered when he's on screen. He does.
He does, but it's still kind of built around his wrestling.
Yeah.
Like that is the basis. It's no offense to Trick. It's the opposite with Trick. It's the character of Trick that is the thing that people are into. So if he's not wrestling at Mania, if he's not wrestling whatever, I don't know what he's doing, but I worry if he's suddenly off TV for a couple of weeks not wrestling.
Right.
Do you have a lot of room? You have to build back up again.
Yeah, the only thing I disagree with that you said is they didn't really work that hard to get him over. They just tried, period. Like they weren't trying with him at all. And then they said, oh, we have this really talented wrestler. Let's have him win some wrestling matches and give him a little bit of an opportunity. And he ran with it. So it's not like they were making some huge concerted effort that was good. You know, fans were fighting against it, but they won and got him over. He got over because he's good, you know?
But because they gave him time in the ring.
Right. They gave him 3 months as champion. Yeah.
In long matches, in time that is very valuable, that if suddenly you're not getting that, what else is he going to lean on to get that back?
Look at Ilya Dragunov. Dragunov, he won the title. It was a nice surprise when he came back. He was, I was going to say mega over. He wasn't mega over. He was legitimately over, fully over. Fans were cheering for him. Then he lost to Mello. It shifted to Mello. And you didn't really see Dragunov anymore. He was backstage upset that he lost and so on and so forth. And now when he comes out and wrestles, he doesn't get the same response he did before because they didn't keep it up with his character. They didn't have him continue wrestling without the championship being on the line. And Mello it's very possible he falls into that same zone. That's why I'm saying, if you are not putting Mello and other people in this match, and it's just going to be one-on-one, and you're leaving this, especially if you are leaving this guy off WrestleMania, I want him on the Raw after WrestleMania. I don't want him on SmackDown again in 2026. That's the way I would do it, because I'm not saying they've killed him. They haven't. But they've seriously injured his ability to get involved in this championship picture. You're not going to move him up to the main event, so you got to put him in the other mid-card. That's the way I see it. At Flair for the Gold wrote in saying, Mello not being added to the match, making it a triple threat, would be seriously annoying. He's one of many who shared that sentiment with us across social media and our Slack. But he also asked, what's with WWE building Tama Tonga as a challenger for 3 months and not actually going with it? That is a great question.
You can ask me that 10,000 times, Cole. I'm never going to have an answer for you.
I'm being sarcastic, though. They're using Tama eyeing singles glory while being held down by Solo Sikoa, as I presume a way to extricate him from the group and or blow up MFT. That's why you have Shinsuke Nakamura involved. And I presume there's a possibility that WWE does sign Hiromu Takahashi and Evil from New Japan, puts them with Shin if you believe the rumors that they are eyeing WWE. You need to remember, WWE must have storylines ready to go coming out of WrestleMania, especially for SmackDown. There's 2 rosters. There's so much programming. They probably started this with Tama and Shin a month earlier than they needed to, which is why it feels so dragged out. But when you consider everything with MFT lasting longer than it should be, that's hardly a surprise. So I don't have much of an issue with the trajectory of it at this point. It does need to result in something interesting, though. And with the story they're telling, Tama, at some point in 2026, should probably be U.S. champion.
Yeah. Again, another person they've done a good job building up for when that time comes.
Ito S on Slack, Jonathan at Jonna_LW, and IT guy Chef Aaron all wrote in asking the exact same question. Do you think there is any possibility that Brock Lesnar and Obafemi main event night 1 of WrestleMania over Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton?
0.0.
0.0, Mr. Blutarski.
Block at 0.
Absolutely not. I could spend a lot of time getting into every issue with that booking. But the 2 quickest and most blunt are that one match involves Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and the WWE Championship, while the other is going to go 6 minutes, and one of the guys is a rookie who has not had a singles match on the main roster, like of any legitimate value. He has not had a singles match on a premium live event since joining the main roster before. We may have issues with the WWE title storyline. Saturday Night's main event is not a premium live event. We may have issues with the WWE title storyline. It's been booked better than Cody and John Cena last year, and that main evented night 2. And there's 3 SmackDowns to go still. As long as the phone caller with Randy is not someone truly ridiculous, and as long as Jelly Roll is not involved in the match, it should end up working out just fine on April 18th.
Brock Oba is the match you put to open one of the nights because you're putting that on ESPN.
Correct.
It's the same way they opened WrestlePalooza with Brock Lesnar and Cena. You opened up the ESPN era with Brock. That's a name everybody knows. Might be the first match of the entire weekend. Which, by the way, I saw one of the first hours is on ESPN. One of them is on ESPN 2.
Yeah, Saturday's on ESPN 2. Sunday is on ESPN. So I would have this open Sunday, WrestleMania Night 2.
Probably what you end up doing.
And I know what you said. It does make sense for it to open the entire show on Saturday. Like it does. That's the ideal place. But if you're going to be on ESPN versus ESPN 2, we all know the viewership is different. You put it on ESPN. You can do the Intercontinental Championship ladder match on night 1 to open the show. Something like that.
Yeah. Yep. Agree.
Randy Orton posted a video. I want to say it was Wednesday night on the phone with that mysterious person. But they revealed that person will be on SmackDown this Friday. So, Vintage, you heard what I said on Tuesday's show, who I thought it might be. And then I kind of came back around thinking maybe it's not. Final guesses here. This show is getting published a little over 24 hours before that show will air on USA Network and Netflix internationally. Who do you believe is on the other end of that phone call?
I did not listen to that part of the episode because you said jump ahead 60 seconds. So I said, I don't want to jump ahead.
Fair enough.
I didn't want to get spoiled by the own show, by the own podcast that I'm on. I'm going to stick with Bob Orton, I guess. We were talking about fathers on Monday. I don't think, I'm kind of surprised they've dragged this out. It feels almost like an unnecessary side plot. It doesn't feel really relevant to Randy's story. It feels like something they maybe like tacked on to try to add a little bit more something to it. That's my guess.
It does. It feels like they're doing too much.
Yeah.
It's like Kunu in, what's that movie with the girl from that 70s show in Hawaii? I'm completely
forgetting
right
Sarah
now.
Marshall.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's like Kunu says, do less. Just do less. All this needed, this feud, was Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and their history. Now we have a mystery phone caller. We have Jelly Roll, and we have Stephanie McMahon. And Matt Cardona, by the way. So 4 additional people. You have the shortest build possible to get to WrestleMania. If Randy Orton had won the Royal Rumble and you needed to build this over 3 months, okay. Like I would understand adding some weird elements to like stretch it out a little bit. This is the shortest build they have. It's from Elimination Chamber. Why are we not 100% focused on the history, legacy, pun not intended, but appropriate, and relationship between these two guys who were really close friends, partners, and now one of them turned on the other, bashed his head in with a chair and some steel steps, and now he's going after his 15th WWE Championship. Why do we need Jelly Roll, Matt Cardona, Stephanie McMahon, and a mystery phone caller?
Exactly. I don't know.
I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get it.
I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get it.
Is there any chance it's Davey Boy Smith Jr.?
I don't think it's Davey. I don't think it's Davey Boy Smith Jr. Do you lend any credence to it being Shane McMahon? The reason I say this is they brought Stephanie on.
Oh,
they brought Stephanie on.
So that's what you were referencing on the show.
The second half when I mentioned it.
Yeah, I heard a mention. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. That must be what I skipped over.
They bring a McMahon on TV for no reason whatsoever, right? Then they offhandedly mention her grandfather and father in the same segment. Previously, Orton, I think, tweeted, and maybe even said in a promo, I forget, to Cody, there's more than one royal family. Of course, his family is royal, the Ortons. You don't need to invoke the McMahons for that, but they now have. They've at least invoked 3 names. They only said 1, but they have at least invoked 3, right? And this video that Orton posted on social media Wednesday night, it was him standing in front of like a memorial of some kind in his home with like picture of his dad and someone else. I think maybe his dad and grandfather were on there. So he's leaning into that as well. I mean, Bob Orton makes sense. SmackDown on Friday, let's be clear, it's in St. Louis, which is his home. So it makes sense that it could be someone from his family for sure. But the name I said on Tuesday's show, which again, it's not a spoiler. I'm just kind of giving you my best guess at this juncture. It's Kevin Owens. Like This is a guy who, again, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but he left WWE when he exited. He was a heel going against Cody, and he was trying to turn Randy and get Orton to understand that Rhodes was a bad guy and that Kevin was the one who was right. It makes so much sense for it to be Kevin Owens. I just don't know if that's the guy you bring up in St. Louis. He's almost certainly not cleared, so he can't get physical. So are you ruining that surprise return at some point later, hopefully, fingers crossed, in 2026, to get some pop for WrestleMania? Shane, if he comes out, this is the other part that I forgot to mention a second ago. Shane, every single time, gets a babyface reaction. It's almost impossible for fans to boo him because they remember the guy who took the suplexes through and not through the glass from Kurt Angle. They remember the guy who had the crazy WrestleMania match with AJ Styles, etc. All the nuts things that Shane did. So you're trying to make this guy heel. You spent last week's TV show doing multiple segments trying to make people boo him that all failed. And would you bring out someone in Shane McMahon who's going to get universally cheered at least right away? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Shane makes no sense and would get the reaction to say, "Oh, we're going to do McMahon in every corner once again." I guess.
Could you imagine doing that in the main event of night one, like involving two McMahons? I just can't.
No, but I couldn't believe they talked about Vince the way they did on Monday. Kevin Owens makes a lot of sense, and I really, really hope it's not him.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to give away a big return. Like it needs to be a moment when that happens, and to have him come back to be like on the sideline for a match he's not in, it would feel like you're stretching things very far. I hope it's just his dad in his corner or something. Cody has to beat both of them because his dad's going to interfere or whatever like that. That's what it should be, I think. But Kevin Owens would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And in a WrestleMania where they seem, I don't want to say desperate, but pulling out all the stops to get as many things going on to boost ticket sales and all that stuff, saying Kevin Owens is going to be there via this, like, would add another element to it.
Yeah.
I just hope that's not what it is.
It could also be, I mean, these are just so far-fetched, but like a Batista, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, like there are other names that they can invoke. And Paul Levesque, they could use Triple H in this role. I don't think they're going to, but there are a lot of other options. So we will see on Friday. But Chris, as we're taping this show, and I still have a couple more topics to get to, we got some breaking news because iShowSpeed was in the middle of a live stream, I guess playing video games or whatever the hell he actually does, when there was an interruption. So let's go ahead and listen to this. It happened literal seconds ago.
Make me laugh, Speed. Make me laugh. Chat, yeah. Chat, yeah. Make me laugh, Speed. LA Knight, how'd you get in my house? Man, I'm actually surprised how easy it was to get in here. I just happened to be in the neighborhood. How the hell you get in my house? I got in your house. Don't worry about that. The bottom line is I'm here because, well, you showed up on my show. I figured I'd just go ahead and show up on your show. How you doing, chat? I knew you were live streaming. That's how I knew you were here. So what I'm thinking is just, look, I don't know how you feel about Logan Paul. It seems like you guys are pretty tight, huh? No, I didn't mean to get involved. And Ted noticed. No. I didn't mean to get involved. You got to understand something here. No matter how tight you are with Logan Paul or not, I don't agree with the guy too much, but what he told you, you made a lot of enemies. You made some pretty big enemies this past Monday on Raw. No, man, come on, man. You know I'm cursed. Come on, brother. Cursed? No, I don't want to get involved, man. Listen, I don't like tag. I know I didn't mean to. No. It's a little too late for that. You're already involved. You stepped in it. You don't understand. Here you were, just sitting there. You cost the Usos are tag team titles. Then you're out there celebrating the division like it's a little bachelorette party. I know. Your favorite stripper's about to come out. But then the one thing that you did, the biggest mistake that you made, the shot heard around the world, you got the little brass knucks. You got excited about them. And what you do, you hit me with them. I'm sorry. You hit me. No. It's too late for sorry. Okay, what I got to do? What do I got to do? What do I got to do? I'll tell you what. Let's talk to chat. Chat, what do you think? Is he involved? I think you're going to see a whole lot of people say, yeah, he's involved. Yeah, he's involved. Chat, no. It's too late. You have stepped in at this point, my man. Chat, y'all know, please, y'all. Come on, man. I didn't mean to do it. Listen, I'm not involved in this. This is not my mess. What I got to do? What do I have to do for us to be cool on equal terms? Let's take it down for a second. Let's relax. Let's just relax. I'm going to take a seat. I'm going to take a seat here. Big deep breath. let's paint the picture. Here you were last week. New York City. You're sitting at Monday Night Raw. You're having a good old time. All of a sudden, you end up in here. Chain reaction. Everything that you did caused all these different things, and now you got a problem. But I believe in second chances. Matter of fact, I've had a couple second chances myself, so I'm going to give you a second chance. And here's how we do this. Monday Night Raw, this coming week, it's going to be in Houston, Texas. I'm going to make sure all the accommodations are in place, all the accoutrements are there, everything that you need to be comfortable so that you can show up to Monday Night Raw and you can fix this yourself.
I'm not involved.
No, look. You don't have to be involved. You can clean this mess up yourself. I'm going to give you the second chance right here, okay? So look, it's all on the up and up. It's all on the good. All you got to do is show up this Monday in Houston, Raw, and we can make it good.
Bet, man.
All right. And as far as that...
I'm sorry, though. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't mean to punch you.
No. The whole thing...
And, I don't want to get involved, and Chad knows this. I don't want to get involved. I'm not a bad person.
The whole thing with the Knucks and all that, I'm just going to need a receipt for that.
Oh, shit. He threw him into the camera. That's funny. He threw him into the camera to end the stream. That was a little longer than I expected. I really hate, by the way, Chris, how all these kids refer to, I guess, their audience as chat. I mean, I get it. There's a live chat when they stream and whatever, but holy crap, is that grating on me? That was pretty damn good and hysterical that because he's not on television, LA Knight goes, does a full segment, doesn't flub at all.
Yeah, he at the very beginning there, he almost did. Very close, but that was very good. As I think about the whole iShow speed, we already have Logan Paul, he's not really a celebrity wrestler anymore.
No, he's a wrestler.
He's a wrestler. He's there every week. He's doing stuff. I don't look at it as that. Jelly Roll is a celebrity guy, even if he's around quite a bit. So how many celebrity matches do we have in this Mania? I don't know, but this makes sense. Speed seems to really play along. This to me is much more interesting than just being out there in a giant Prime bottle to take a move off the table.
Well,
type of thing.
That was KSI, but yeah, you're right. Having in terms of a celebrity appearance, if you're going to involve them and have it be fun. This is fun, even if you don't necessarily love the title change or the circumstances. I got to tell you, this guy, I see him on screen. I feel the energy. He wants to be there. The other guys seem to like him. And if you're going to have celebrity involvement in something, it's like that guy, Big Boom AJ, right? Over in AEW. The guy is grating as hell and his content is awful, right? But he wants to be there so bad and they seem to really like having him there. So if he's there and he's doing a pre-show match, or if he had the lowest card match on their biggest show of the year, I'm not really going to argue with that. That's okay. Go ahead and do it.
Yep.
That's how I equate this, except iShow Speed. He has 79 million YouTube subscribers, which is insane. So that's crazy exposure they just got from doing that.
Yeah. And look, he took the spear from Braun Breaker, which is a ballsy thing. And here he's pleading LA Knight, don't do anything to me. He is, I guess, selling essentially the wrestlers as badasses. He's not being this is fake. I could beat you guys up the Tom Brady, Le'Veon Bell, whatever that stuff is. He is properly showing respect to the kayfabe of it all. So that works. I'm kind of back and forth on look, you have the Usos, one of the greatest tag teams of all time, and LA Knight, who one of my favorite guys.
Crazy
have
over.
All three of them. Yeah. To have all three of them in a celebrity-ish type of match. I'm but we'll see.
I agree with that, but what did you just say, right? Jey Uso, insanely over. LA Knight, extremely over. Logan Paul, super famous. We don't like him, but whatever. iShow Speed, huge following. If you're putting all of them in this match and they're going to upload that to YouTube for free, or maybe put it on one of the first hour shows that they're doing on ESPN, that's the goal. That's the idea. You're getting a lot of attention on WrestleMania by involving all of those people in one match. So to me, it makes a lot of sense. And I loved what you said also, that he sells for them. It's unlike the Tom Brady. This is the antithesis of the Tom Brady situation. That's all bullshit kayfabe, talking trash down, about WWE to promote a flag football game. And maybe because Brady's going to show up at WrestleMania because it's in the Las Vegas stadium, Allegiant Stadium. Maybe Speed is putting these guys over. And that final part that you heard, LA Knight legitimately picked him up and threw him into his monitor and desk. That wasn't, it wasn't soft. He took a bump, into his own shit, and then the feed cut off. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty well executed, and I like this kid. I don't know anything about him. I've never watched one of his streams really until that, but he brings the energy and attention.
He brings the boom.
He brings the boom.
His Danhausen stuff.
Yeah, it's funny
quite
too.
a few social videos is pretty funny too.
Yeah, he's solid. I have no issues with Speed. Don't prove me wrong, bro, and say some dumb shit or support some dumb person. But for now, Speed is on my good side. Couple more quick items. We'll get out of here. Big Blaine wrote in asking whether BFAB is good enough to be a character wrestler in a group. Frankly, you all know that I don't ever suggest people should lose their jobs or be fired or anything. I'm just not entirely sure what she adds to WWE. She doesn't wrestle, and when she does, it's mediocre at best. She does have some personality, but never really gets to show it. So to that end, as a character, she can work as part of a group. She makes more sense as a manager for Jade Cargill than Kiana James does for Julia, frankly. That is how I would use her. I'd make BFAB the manager / supporter, influencer, whatever, next to Jade. Michin can be there to do the dirty work. Like, I can see the trio working, just not based on the segment we got Friday night.
Look, it didn't make any sense for Michin and BFAB to join Jade, but ultimately they got to a good place because I think Jade's better having some lackeys to just kind of do, it's not quite the baddies that they used to do back in AEW and all that.
Yeah.
Like there's nowhere else. There's not really any other places for them. So throw it in here and see if it works. It didn't exactly work on Friday, but I don't think I think that's kind of everybody involved's fault more than an individual person.
Oh yeah. That was all four of them at issue. More so Jade, Michin, and BFAB. But yeah. Mo Mokoena wrote in, Silver King, greetings from Johannesburg, South Africa. Obviously, Becky Lynch is the GOAT women's wrestler. Indeed, obviously. But how far off is Rhea Ripley because she is on a tear right now? I got to tell you, man, Rhea's pretty far off, especially right now. In ring, she's incredible. She's presumably only going to get better with age and experience. But she's not even the best wrestler in her own duo with Io Sky. And her promo game is a serious hindrance right now. There are far better wrestlers than Becky, but she is very good in the ring and the greatest ever on the mic. Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, she's awesome in the ring, better than Becky, but mediocre at her absolute best on the mic. So if Ripley wants to enter the GOAT discussion, she and WWE must figure out a way for her to come across more natural and relatable from a promo standpoint. Look at how Liv Morgan has grown as a character, how Orton even improved on the mic over the last few years. Ripley can absolutely do it. She is smart and capable, but they've got to focus on that side if the goal is for her to be the greatest of all time, which one would assume, considering how hard she's been pushed, how much Paul Levesque loves her, and what she brings to the table. One must assume that is the goal. That is the ceiling. It is the mountaintop she can climb, that when she retires, she's the greatest women's wrestler of all time. But in order to get there, she needs to storytell better and she needs to speak a lot better on the mic. And she's just not there still to this day. Some of that is scripting and the storylines they're putting her in, but some of that is her as well. Her cadence needs to improve and she needs to be much more natural on the mic.
Well, I mean, she's come so far. I mean, pre-Judgment Day Rhea, even though she had won a championship at WrestleMania, she was lost as a character. And she found herself in Judgment Day. She found herself with Dominic. She feels confident when she's with Priest. And it's that next step of when you're on your own. And
when she's alone.
And when you're not just... I think also... I don't even think WWE's quite sure what she is when she's not the Hulk Hogan of women's wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Just the one who's mommy's on top. She's she's going to beat up the bad guy and that. What is she beyond that? And that will take time for everybody to figure out. They tried in this feud here to be like, well, it's the rare opportunity where you can put her next to Jade and be like, oh, Jade's the big monster in this one. So Rhea can work underdog a bit. And it's not going great, but that also might be the dance partner situation. They haven't really told that story since she and Jade. They kind of went away from it too. I don't really know what the story is now between these two. So yes, there's room to grow. She's very good in the ring. It's the talking that makes you one of the best ever. It's as important as wrestling to me in terms of what makes someone great, and that's why Becky is where she is.
All right, well, that's what I had on my list to discuss with you, but since we didn't talk about it, and of course it was part of the main event this week, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, the brawl to end Raw, Punk getting that surprisingly powerful powerbomb of Reigns through the table and kind of going a little psycho at the end of the show. What'd you think about that?
My first thought on the segment was that it was denim night at MSG. Both of these guys were in jeans. Roman's got a jean jacket. I think there were some other jeans. Oh, that was the other part. Gunther was in jeans.
He was.
When he attacked Seth.
Yeah.
And
he looked good.
He should never be. No.
Oh, I thought he looked good.
Gunther should never be in jeans. Do not put this guy needs to dress to the nines at all times. Not like beat him up in a suit, but I mean, no, Gunther in jeans did not work for me. Don't do that. So, as I always have to comment on Gunther's fashion here, but the Roman Punk stuff was fine. I was glad it was somebody attacking somebody and ending with an impactful wrestling type of thing. Mm-hmm. And no talk, not about getting in heads or this or that. I thought it was fine. It didn't really take you anywhere, but it ended on something where Roman's got to come back now. So that worked.
Yeah, I guess my take on it was, all right, you've spoken and talked head to head for, multiple weeks in a row now. You got to do something different. Throwing hands that way, it was different. In Madison Square Garden, a brawl works, and the fans reacted accordingly. You want to talk about the fans being, quiet here or there? They were pretty damn hot for that segment to close the show.
Correct. I do think they're kind of in a weird space where they can't have every feud for WrestleMania include a pull-apart brawl.
I know.
And they're having to pick and choose where those go, because this had Roman attacking security. He speared security. The same, Oba attacked security earlier in the show. It's a lot. You got to kind of pick and choose where that goes and which one's going to get the biggest one. I don't know.
That's why I said it really felt like they wasted the police presence in Boston, using it for the Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman.
Yeah, you had
angle.
that last week too.
But I'm saying it felt like it was wasted because on Monday night, when you're in New York and you can use the NYPD, which is like the thing that's always been involved in WWE, the world's most famous arena, the NYPD in Madison Square Garden. We've seen it so many freaking times. And then on one episode, you had two different situations where this was happening. I mean, if you want to involve cops in something, Obafemi and Brock Lesnar is where you involve police, right? You need as much presence, you need batons, you need pepper spray to get those guys apart if something was to transpire. Now, they didn't go in that direction, so okay, they didn't need it. But then you have the main event, your night 2 main event, and you have police for that, or I'm sorry, you have security out there for that, where you could have had police, whereas opposed to the week prior, you have Seth Rollins and a out of nowhere restraining order, which I don't think they needed to do in order to tell the story they were telling with Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins. So again, maybe that's more nitpicking than anything else. I kind of wanted to see the NYPD on Monday night. That's all.
That does remind me, since the other last week with the Heyman Rollins thing. So I did like the email bit going on throughout the show, because I'm like, why are we still talking about email? What is this? Why did they keep talking about it? And for it to come around and pay off later in the show, I was like, oh, that was actually really kind of cool how they did that. Like, Heyman will check his phone and immediate stuff, but he won't check his email. Whoops, he should have checked his email. He gets attacked. Like, I actually like that bit. The problem was, I think it's very weird in kayfabe that Pierce is like, charges were dropped, so that means Seth Rollins can come out with a chair and attack a non-wrestler, and just like, I'm out of here. That was a little bit strange. It's not like Heyman has attacked attacked Rollins. It was just like, this is okay. Like, if anything, the cops need to stop this. Like, what is going on?
Well, what I said on the show Tuesday was charges being dropped in Boston doesn't mean that a restraining order is null and void. They didn't say that this is not a real restraining order. He still has the restraining order on him, theoretically, right?
I'm okay with the pro wrestling hand wavy on what constitutes charges. I was just so surprised with what the GMs are getting involved in and not getting involved in and getting upset at, that Pierce was happy to let Heyman get attacked with a chair by a wrestler, because he's not someone like that. Was strange to me.
Yeah, we've gone on nearly an hour here talking WWE, so I'll just wrap up by saying the whole general manager issue, especially Friday with Nick Aldis, but certainly to a degree with Pierce Monday night as well. I said this on Tuesday's show. They spent so much time building up these guys as legitimate, and it felt to me like in 1 week, with Aldis, they threw most of it out the window. With Pierce, they didn't, but it wasn't like the best look for him, even on Monday night. But look, we have spent, like I just said, a long time talking WWE here. Let's go ahead and transition over to AEW Vintage. I appreciate you joining the show. Of course, you will be back next week talking all things WWE in the normal Tuesday spot. Before we get to AEW, though, Silver King does need to remind you here at Getting Over,
I happen to love the number 5.
and I hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Please support us as we continue to provide performance-enhancing audio for your ear holes. It's the key time of year. It's WrestleMania season. Go ahead and hit us up. buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Okay, let's move over to AEW. Now, this week was kind of interesting in that Collision on Saturday, again, was a complete waste of time. Dynamite on Wednesday, it just felt like nothing really happened. Even if 3 of the 4 matches on the show were relevant, and those 3, all men's matches, actually not all 3 of those were relevant, but the 3 men's matches were all long. There was a lot of wrestling on Wednesday, which I'm not complaining about, but it was all wrestling, 1 contract signing, and that was it. Like, nothing else happened on the show. The women had 1 short match. Willow Nightingale spoke for 30 seconds, and that was it from them. And the men's storytelling on this show, holy cow. You want to talk about convoluted? What I said about SmackDown on Friday, that bothered me so much. If AEW was on its road to All In, and this was the creative we were getting, I'd probably go off on it in a similar way, but we'll talk about that momentarily. 5 of 11 matches this week were storyline relevant, 46%, a figure that was elevated by the fact that there were 3 fewer matches across the 2 shows than there normally are. Still 46%, 2 weeks out from a pay-per-view. If you looked at the Collision card for Saturday, almost none of those matches are storyline relevant, and the one that is probably doesn't have to do anything with the pay-per-view, I don't think. But from a creative standpoint, especially considering what happened on these shows, AEW is leaving a lot to be desired right now. Things were decent on the road to Revolution, and they delivered on that show to different degrees depending on, what you prefer in wrestling. But this road to Dynasty, it feels rushed, and it comes across as a show that AEW just shoved into its schedule to make sure they had a pay-per-view the week before WrestleMania. That's the way it comes across. Let's go ahead and break down everything that happened across Dynamite and Collision. Dynamite opened with the return of Chris Jericho in his hometown of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. He came out with Judas, and Jericho was plastered on the big screen, somewhat reminding of his WWE debut, the way that word came up at the top of the Titantron. The crowd was hot singing his song initially. They did not provide as much of a reaction as I expected, once he got into the ring. He actually went around trying to get people to cheer and chant, waving his arms. But the reaction, shockingly, was rather muted except for one light Jericho chant. And considering that was basically the entire segment, other than him saying, "I'm home," it left a lot to be desired. Jericho, though, looked great. Best shape he's been in years, to the point you could even see kind of the outline of his abs. Credit to him for working hard while off, maybe, potentially taking something to help. Doesn't matter. He looked great. I don't want to spend too much time on this because nothing happened. And I also consider you all to be a real smart audience that listens to this show. But the way this entire Jericho situation unfolded, especially through the wrestling media, was so ridiculously transparent. There were reports of him talking to WWE. Then there were reports that Tony Khan had froze his contract and he had months remaining, 8 months, a year, whatever the case. He never left the AEW roster page, which happens to every single former AEW person before they debut in WWE. And then his return gets leaked purposefully earlier Wednesday, a couple hours before the show, to drive interest and ratings. He shows up on TV hours later, and immediately, as soon as the show is over, there's a story about how he turned WWE down, which again doesn't make sense. If his contract was frozen, he was still on the AEW roster, and he was not about to expire with the company. Now, it's possible that Khan was going to let him exit if he came to terms with WWE, but that was never reported. And this is the guy who talks all the time about tampering, so why would he allow him to do that? Now, I could go even deeper and explain to you guys all the nuances of news reporting in sports and entertainment, comparing this purposeful promotional leak to what's been happening around WWE over the last few months, especially when it comes to returns, surprises, debuts, and things like that. But again, I don't really feel like spending 10 minutes on this. Maybe I'll do a Q&A on our Slack channel if you guys want to join us over there and actually ask me. Jericho is back. Many of the same fans who said they never wanted him to step foot in AEW again seem to be perfectly okay with him being there. For me, as I've always said, I like Jericho on TV. At age 55, he needs to know his role. And that's absolutely not how he was operating prior to his sabbatical. The learning tree, everything they were doing with that, giving him the ROH title a second time, putting that on TV when it otherwise is not. Jericho just needs to be used properly. Do I believe this is going to be his last run? Maybe. I mean, perhaps he does his retirement with AEW and then goes to WWE, signs a Legends contract, and does the Hall of Fame. But I'm slightly surprised if there was actually an exit opportunity for Jericho, that he didn't take it, go to WWE, do a 1-year retirement run, and just call it off. I'm guessing Tony Khan offered more money, probably offered him the opportunity to do more than just a retirement run, because in WWE these days, that's all it would be, especially at his age, and them kind of getting rid of some of those older wrestlers. And everyone's talking about all the title holders on the men's side being like in their 40s right now. It's true. But they also just got rid of like 2 of the oldest people on the entire roster. And they're simultaneously bringing up 3 young dudes in Obafemi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans, not to mention other younger people who are getting pushed. So, WWE, they don't want to bring in a 55-year-old to push, in a significant way. So I assume, I lost my voice there for a second. I assume it would have been retirement and out. So I don't know. Maybe Jericho will talk about it. You never know what he's telling the truth or not. So I don't know. It's tough to say. Let's move on with everything else that happened on AEW. Ricochet on Collision cut something that I guess you could call a promo on Kenny Omega for doing something with Brody King and Jack Perry on a Maple Leaf Pro Ring of Honor tandem show in Canada. Footage wasn't shown, so I had no idea what they were talking about. I'm assuming you didn't either. Then the Demand claimed that Omega purposefully got them held out of the Blackjack Battle Royal at Revolution, which doesn't make a shred of sense, obviously. Why would he give a shit about any of them? Then we somehow got a second Ricochet segment in the same show where he commiserated with Don Callis about beating Omega in his hometown. The challenge was already made. I didn't understand why they went back to this at all.
So dumb.
On Dynamite, MJF and Omega did a contract signing segment that AEW said it never would do. MJF was out in a suit while Omega was in full gear, which looked incredibly odd. They signed immediately. Omega tore down MJF, mentioning his hair plugs, saying fans aren't there for his shtick. They're there to watch the best wrestle.
Are you fucking kidding me?
He said the fans stand behind him because they know they can do better than MJF. Then he brought up the total eye roll devil versus God thing again. MJF retorted by calling him old and injured, referring to Kota Ibushi as Omega's boyfriend, and saying that he's similarly near retirement. Then MJF claimed to somehow know private medical information about Omega, completely violating HIPAA, saying doctors told him that his diverticulitis is ready to explode again at any time.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
I truly hoped you guys liked that deep cut sound drop right there. He said Omega was a false idol who would be better off dead, then dared him to attack, considering there was a no-touch clause in the segment. I forgot to mention that before. Mike Bailey ran out to save and fillet Kenny, saying he wanted to fight MJF. Omega then actually mentioned HIPAA.
Thank you!
While questioning MJF's manhood if he declined Speedball. So MJF agreed to fight, and he said he'd make an example out of him before getting all jingoistic to end it. Considering U.S.-Canada relations right now, I didn't really mind that. And I also enjoy when champions wrestle on TV. The setup made sense too. It was one Canadian saving another Canadian in Canada. All of that worked. Unfortunately, The back and forth between them was weak as shit, and MJF randomly revealing dire medical information about Omega was so ridiculously illogical. The crowd reaction told you all you needed to know. It was like, okay, and like, we know this isn't real. Even for a quick turn storyline, this has been extremely rough, and we gotta stop treating diverticulitis like it's this thing that is active inside Omega, ready to burst at any given time. They did it when he came back the first time. They're doing it again now. They're just randomly bringing it up again because he's in a feud for the world title. It's so stupid. On Dynamite, Omega, King, and Perry fought the Demand. I did not give this relevancy credit, given it was completely randomized on an entirely different show and not explained with any reasoning, even if it was at least promoted on Saturday night. Given the dire medical information revealed in the prior segment, why in the blue hell would Omega wrestle this trios match ahead of a world title opportunity? Omega kicked out of Ricochet's Vertigo before hitting V-Trigger and winning with One Winged Angel. Fun opener in the B+ to B range. On Dynamite, MJF beat Bayley in an AEW title eliminator main event. I don't mind that stipulation being added when a champion is fighting someone not firmly in contention otherwise, especially when there's reason for the match being made, which there was on Wednesday. It was relevant because it was developed earlier in the show. It's not that hard. Unfortunately, this was entirely a USA-Canada gimmick. They each literally wore flags of their respective countries, despite presumably not knowing that they were going to be wrestling one another. MJF hit a pile driver on the ring apron, said "God bless America," and then won with Heat Seeker while staring down Omega, who watched on commentary. Then the show ended on a really weird down note. After Omega saved Bayley from like a further attack, they just stood in the ring together for like 2 minutes. The match was strong in the B+ range. It didn't have any further implications, though. On Collision, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis beat the Rascals in a match that happened for no reason. Fletcher backstage said he didn't like Callis' business relationship with MJF going after Darby Allin, considering they should be fighting MJF and winning the AEW title. He said he would focus on that next, even though, he's TNT champion with no challengers right now. Fletcher was also angry about Jet Speed and Mystico taking the trios titles from them and also injuring Josh Alexander. So he said that night was all about revenge. That's why they fought two completely different dudes, apparently. The Rascals contended like they have made some huge splash since signing in AEW. Really, I'm convinced this signing was purely just to take talent away from TNA. Something else hysterical to me is that AEW just ran this whole storyline about who is the most dangerous person in the company. Meanwhile, Davis comes out for this match wearing tights that call him dangerous. Is one hand working with the other here? Maybe don't have someone give themselves that nickname when you just did a whole match between Swerve Strickland and Brody King about the nickname. Commentary was also in the middle of reading a Dynamite promo as the finish of this match happened. A total mess. On Collision, International Championship was on the line. Kazuchika Okada retained over Kevin Knight in what was easily the match of the night. Reminder that Knight lost to MJF in an undeserved AEW title match, then lost the trios titles, both on March 4th, the same night. Since then, he's fought in 2 trios titles matches and defeated El Clone. But he got a title match against Okada out of nowhere. Even if they were running the revenge angle, as Fletcher said, this should have been an eliminator, not a title match. 4 stars A-, great main event. The only thing of value from the show on Saturday. Knight is really impressive between the ropes. Unfortunately, he got protected again as Okada cheated using the ropes to win. So this guy can't lose either in AEW. I gave it relevance credit just to kind of split the difference with the 6-man from Dynamite. Knight's promo before this was pretty solid, but the dude spams calling himself the Jet like he's The Rock, and bro, you're just not there yet. It doesn't work. Maybe in a couple years, not now. On Dynamite, Darby Allin stormed out with a mic demanding MJF meet him face-to-face, saying he's scared because he knows Darby is willing to die for the AEW title. He kept ranting about MJF despite them not having interacted at all recently. Don Callis' family came out instead, saying MJF has agreed to face Allin for the AEW title if he defeats a hand-picked family member. That was obviously Andrade El Idolo, who has been the only person, other than Fletcher, I guess, completely against this deal. Andrade was shocked. Callis then sent the losers, Lance Archer, Hechicero, and El Clone to the ring. So King and Perry aided Darby despite their prior issues. Then Omega came out and Darby stared him down for a second. This booking is so strange. Darby is feuding with the Dogs, yet focused on MJF, despite having achieved nothing since returning. MJF, who doesn't have much reason to fear Allin, somehow knew he needed to enlist Callis to handle him. MJF's next opponent is being blatantly set up, which seems to indicate that he's retaining the title giving away the result of the Dynasty main event. Now, it is possible that Omega wins the title and sets up the Will Ospreay match. I maintain MJF Ospreay is the better move. But if that happens and Omega does win the title, then Darby is doing all of this to not challenge for the championship.
Well, that was a disaster. What the hell was that? What was that, huh? This is unacceptable.
It is so freaking odd. On Collision, Jon Moxley and Daniel Garcia beat Private Party in another random match. They cut a promo on Party backstage despite having no actual issue with them. Just the show-by-show random Mox match. Somehow this time not against Callis family members. Party had a horrible promo coming back, referring to Mox smashing Isaiah Cassidy's hand with a hammer 2 years ago. Garcia won with a Dragon Tamer basically sitting on Cassidy's ass in the ring. The referee got distracted, missed the tap out by a few seconds. Death Riders backstage got a second promo with Mox saying Party, who just came back, would now be out for good after their beating. Then he talked shit to Will Ospreay and said Pac has even less patience for him than Mox does. So on Dynamite, we had Ospreay against Pac. Ospreay briefly attacked Mox and Wheeler Yuta backstage until he was pulled off by security, like the guy doesn't have an entire faction of supposed psychos to get his back. Pac then attacked Will as he was making his ring entrance, hitting a brainbuster on the ramp. Tony Schiavone took time during this match to tell us the crowd loves AEW so much. It was chanting the letters before the show started. Thank you so much, Tony. That added so much to the call of this match. You're truly incredible at your job. Ospreay took a tombstone piledriver and Black Arrow, but Pac didn't go for the fall. Instead, he locked in the Brutalizer. Will moved into a mediocre pinning combination and stole the win. So Ospreay, whose neck is supposed to be healed, he's cleared medically. He's not healed? And he came an escape finish away from losing to a guy in Pac who is nowhere near the leader of his own group in Death Riders? It was still a match of the night, 4 stars A-, but the booking was seriously disappointing. Death Riders immediately attacked Ospreay at the bell, focusing on his neck with Claudio Castagnoli wrapping a chair around it. How many baby faces do you think came out to help Ospreay with him in a near career-ending situation at a 1-on-6 disadvantage? I will tell you how many.
0.0.
0.0, Mr. Blutarski.
Not a single babyface came out to help this guy, who they are trying to promote as the face of the entire company. Despite him being in the Blood and Guts match, helping all of them against the Death Riders, none of them came out. Mox mocked him while in the prone position, saying Ospreay was individually at fault for being put in the spot, and he needs to use his head going forward. Mox said it is not personal for him, so Ospreay shouldn't make it personal either. This is booking you do if you're having Will win the Continental Championship. Otherwise, if he just gets beaten by these guys, what's the point of this? And how do you build him up 3 months from now for All in London if he doesn't beat Mox? This is rough stuff. By the way, do you remember when Mox and Death Riders were feuding with Callis family immediately before this? They fought twice a week, every week on TV in randomly assorted matches. Konosuke Takeshita was also there serving as Mox's title challenger for something that happened in the Continental Classic. Now that's over. Apparently there's no more issues with Don Callis family. And now, rather than heel tweeners, they're full heels. This after Mox was teasing a babyface turn a couple months ago. This shit is all over the place. Talk about lacking logic and consistency. I mean, this is just brutal. On Collision, the women's tag team titles are on the line. Divine Dominion retained over Babes of Wrath. I presume it's just a return match after Willow Nightingale fought twice in one night at Revolution. Megan Bayne ate shit on a Tope Suicida. Certainly not the only one to do it across the last few days. But really, why is Bayne doing Tope Suicidas in the first place? Apparently, the referees don't bother to legislate tagging in the women's matches either. This was full tornado style. The referee stood there wincing at big moves, didn't even yell at them to try to get them back into the corners to make a tag. This dude, by the way, looked like Tucker in Something About Mary. Later backstage, Harley Cameron acted as if she let her team down by taking the L. They strangely assumed, since they lost, that their team was dissolved. I'm not sure why they couldn't stay together with Nightingale operating on her own, defending the TBS title, and Cameron getting her back. This is precisely what I say all the time about WWE. Pair the women up so they can work as a team or individuals depending on what you need. There's no need to break them up unnecessarily. On Dynamite, Willow offered an open challenge for her TBS title on Collision, saying she wants to wrestle the very best available. Spoiler alert, she faces a returning Hikaru Shida, who's been missing in action for the better part of a year for no reason whatsoever. On Collision, Mina Shirakawa and the Brawling Birds beat 3 jobbers in 90 seconds. A promo before the match explained nothing, though Mina did threaten Tekla, saying that she wants to fight her again. The one positive about the birds is that Jamie Hayter's hair looks completely normal with the blue gear. A negative is that they try to force the F word into every promo to somehow make them look cool. We all know they're winning the titles at All In. Can we just push fast forward and get to that? After the match, the birds tried but failed to say anything of value before Triangle of Madness interrupted from the crowd. As Tekla spoke, I started wondering, is her gimmick wine-drunk soccer mom? Because that's the way she speaks. She threatened the faces to wind up like Toni Storm, so Mina challenged to a 6-woman match. Because Alex Windsor said piss earlier, Mina did as well. So an F-bomb, bitch, and 2 pisses. Revolutionary stuff. On Dynamite, Mina and the Brawling Birds beat Triangle of Madness in an extremely rough match. Easily the worst on the show. Hayter pinned Julia Hart after Haterade. Nothing else happened. There was no development for any other women's storyline or anything else on the show Wednesday night. On Dynamite, Christian Cage backstage nearly hit Renee Paquette with a chair for no reason, only because they're trying to attack people who are getting in their way. Adam Copeland had to tell her, this woman who you know and is also Canadian is not a threat to you. Then Cage and Cope found FTR's dressing room, and while they were not there, Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta were. So they briefly attacked them with chairs. So Don Callis family members were in an FTR dressing room for no reason, got attacked for no reason, and what, are they going to have a tag team match on Collision? Is that what they're doing? Alrighty then. On Collision, Tommaso Ciampa beat Ace Austin in a match without any relevance. Solid wrestling that ended with a running knee. B-plus match between them. Every time I see Austin, I think to myself, this guy looks and acts like he belongs in TNA. Ciampa feigned like he was going to attack Juice Robinson after the bell, but ultimately did not. So that means they're probably going to have a match on Collision. And lastly, on Collision, Myron Reed beat Johnny TV in 4 minutes. Squashed his ass. Match happened for no reason. That's Collision for you. So that is the week in AEW. I wish I could sit here and pontificate more and provide a whole bunch of detail about the storylines and the build to Dynasty. I mean, the show's next week. You can predict a couple of the matches. Obviously, MJF and Omega is booked solid. I want to say it's the only official match for the card. You're probably going to get Tekla and Shirakawa in a rematch that's completely undeserved. Although, I mean, I guess she did cheat to beat Mina, so maybe it is deserved. Okay, fair enough. You'll get that rematch most likely. Ospreay and Moxley, I think that's official. So that's another one. And then Darby and Andrade is going to be a match on that show. Random, just like the random Andrade and Bandito match. Bandito's apparently gone. Haven't seen him since that show. A multi-person match of some kind involving, I don't even know, Death Rider members, Don Callis family members, baby faces. That's where AEW booking is right now. And that's where we are to end the show. So let's wrap this up, our third of 4 episodes this week. A reminder, we already have a full WWE episode in the can, also an NXT Stand and Deliver Ultimate Preview with an exclusive interview. Ricky Saints joined the show for the first time. Both of those are in the podcast feed, and we will be back on Saturday with your NXT Stand and Deliver instant analysis. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to performance-enhancing audio. On the way out, allow the Silver King to remind you here at Getting Over,
it's all about Defy.
So head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show. You heard many of those read earlier. On YouTube, when you subscribe over there, you can listen to the show and you can watch full-length video interviews like the one I did with Ricky Saints this week. And the link in our social media profiles does have not just a WWE shop link, by the way, so you can purchase gear and we can get a little kickback, but a link to our Slack invite so you can join our channel and talk with us all week long. Across the board, find us at Getting Overcast. Lastly, please remember,
I happen to love the number 5.
Hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Please support us as we deliver performance-enhancing audio into your ear holes. Buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Thank you all so much for listening to this third weekly edition of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. One more to go before the weekend is out. This is the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, signing off and leaving you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.